Thank you all for being here tonight. Our agenda work session for May 25th, 2017. We are attempting to set the agenda for the regular council meeting of June 8th, 2017. Janet, if we can have the roll call, please. Here.
Vice Mayor Stoll. Councilmember Hale.
Here.
Councilmember Hall. Here. Councilmember Williams.
Here.
City Manager Miller.
Here.
City Attorney Mitchell.
Here.
Okay, potentially, according to this, there may not be any whole business to consider at the next meeting. So we will skip to new business, item 9A, unnumbered ordinance, which would be the ordinance for the continuation budget. Again, we are, as we discussed the last time, we are waiting on the new figures from the assessor to know exactly what our tax rate is going to be or where it needs to go. And so until we get that information, we will simply pass a continuation budget, which allows us to continue operating, but it will be under essentially the same budget that we've been operating under. That would be before us on first reading next time. Item B, the ordinance in regard to a budget amendment.
Yeah, we have, if you look at John Paul's memorandum for today's date, we need to make several amendments to the budget. April 27th, purchase of the traffic signal swing poles for Exit 1 project. The proposal for engineering permitting and design services for the gravity sewer repair at Exit 1. And then on May 11th, we had a change order for the fire station, the amount of about $16,000. So this will be before you at the next council meeting on June 8th for your consideration for approval.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, item C would be in regard to an amendment to ordinance 947, building and utility fee revision. Potentially for first reading, I see Mr. Guster is here with us.
Yes, sir. Mayor, council, we've had a few things come down from the state, and that's what you'll see on section R3.1, and that's as it relates to townhomes. The state of Tennessee passed legislation in the last 12 to 24 months on how you want to regulate townhomes, and that's what the requirements are for residential sprinklers. This just brings us into compliance by adding the ordinance one. And since we had to make those changes, we were going through our fee schedule, and we had a lot of unit price scheduling. So, depending on the number of fixtures that you had was one fee. Depending on size of unit to use was one fee. When it came down to electrical, and our contract inspector, he's got a base fee, base hourly rate. So to simplify the process, the application process, and also to simplify it for our permit technician, was to just set a permit fee and then a per inspection fee. And that's what we've done through each of these ordinances. There is a few additions that we can go through, but you'll see all the changes highlighted in green. And it's something that you'll definitely want to look at over the course of the next week, and then you're more than welcome to follow up with me. But we can move through each one of them if you would like. And that's the changes for ordinance 947 if you want to move to 948.
Are there any questions?
One other thing I'd like to bring up, for plan review, it'll show plan, checking fee, and it'll have less than 5,000 square feet. We use the 5,000 square feet threshold because that's what basically our sprinkler design is based on. Once you hit 5,000 square foot of fire area, that's when our sprinklers take over for sprinkler bills. All right, so doing a plan review in a smaller building such as that is not so cumbersome, but you get something that's 40, 50, 60,000 square feet, becomes a lot more labor intensive. So what we would like to do is ICC, which is our code body, that's the codes that we've adopted, have that plan review service. We would never accept any fees, would never come to us at all. The only thing that we would get was the final review letter with all the revisions. So a contractor would send it all to ICC, and then we would just get the review. That's the direction that we'd like to go. It would definitely speed up the process and provide a better review for the contractor.
All right. Looks like several different revisions on here. Next would be an amendment to ordinance 948, fire code fee revision.
For the fire code fees, basically we stuck to that same dollar figure. New businesses would be a $35 fire and life safety inspection fee. What we find a lot of times is an individual comes in, receives a business license. Attached to that information is the contact information for our office to schedule a fire and life safety inspection prior to opening. What we would like to do, and what we hope this will encourage, is for individuals that are wanting to come in and to open a business to get with us, let us conduct the inspection, because what happens a lot of times is you go out, you sign a lease, 6, 8, 12-month lease, and then they call us, and then we say, okay, you got to replace a couple exit lights, maybe you need to add some outlets and things of that nature. When the landlord told me that there was nothing that needed to be done. So we're going to institute that and help us track that, because right now there is no charge. So they can call you 5 or 6 times, and there's no fee associated with it. The other we added was, and basically for the same reason, was a consultation-based fee on each code. In the past, we've had several contractors that we would meet with. They would call about a project, and we're not project designers, we're code enforcers. But they want us to help design the project, so they would you'd continue to call out before they even apply for the permit. So then there's no fee for those 3 times that you went out. So it's just to kind of bring that all together and tighten that up. Also on 948, which is the fire code, made one more revision, I believe, and that was just the allocation of fees. One of the issues, the language referenced the chief of the department. When we adopted these codes, it was based on public safety director, fire chief. Now that the fire marshal's office is all in the codes, we changed that language to fire marshal. And also the allocation of fees were designed for public education and training, which those fees could now just go into the general fund.
Okay. If there are no questions in regard to that, we'll look at the next item, which is 9E, for an amendment to ordinance 949, the gas code fee.
Mayor and Council, this is set up similar the same way. You'll notice that it's based on BTUs was the initial fee, and that's what caused a lot of misunderstanding. We have a lot of the time that a contractor would come in and be doing a certain type of project and say they're installing, less than 250,000 BTUs, which would be $4 fee. They're actually installing 5 million BTUs. It may not be the person designing the job that comes in and gets the permit, so they may not have all the accurate information. So you'd have a $50 permit fee and a $35 per inspection fee. So it's just, again, I feel this simplifies that process.
Okay, 9F would be an amendment to ordinance 950, which is the electrical code fee.
For the electrical code, we have a contracted electrical inspector that's licensed with the state. He has a base fee that he charges us, and we've kept that consistent. So it's no more money for the city, it's just exactly what his fee is, so that's even. One thing we did have to add was power out over a year. You get a lot of houses that's been sit for a while. Those have, where you may have multiple inspections where they have to go out or the power out over a year, the tenant doesn't show up. We get assessed that fee regardless because it's a contractor. So we added a $50, or proposed a $50 power out over a year fee.
9G, amendment to ordinance 951, the plumbing code fee.
Again, the same scenario, we just added a permit fee, a per inspection fee, a re-inspection fee, and a consultation fee based on time.
Okay. And the last item for you would be amendment to ordinance 952, the mechanical code fee.
And again, the International Chemical Code, it's going to fall into the same category. Instead of having a wide array of fees, it's just going to be a set permit fee, per inspection fee, re-inspection fee. The only fees that did change were the initial permit fees for operation in the fire code, and then also the actual building inspection fee itself. So the building fee for construction didn't change. We're staying with that same process. And then after these, if we move forward and these are adopted, what we would like to do, city attorney and I have spoken, city manager and I have spoken, is when we go through our next code adoption, which will be coming up within the next 12 to 24 months, when we go to the new cycle, at that time, we would like to move fees to adopt them by resolution so they can be changed from time to time to keep up with it.
All right, are there any questions? These would, each of these would be before us for first reading next time, which would be the June 8th meeting. Sir.
Thanks, please feel free to contact me over the next week if you can ask questions.
Appreciate that. And the next thing is the grant consent agenda. Looks like there are 4 different grants in there. The Pet Finder Foundation grant, Georgia Pacific Foundation Bucket Brigade grant, and then the Bureau of Justice Assistance Bulletproof Vest program, and then the COPS grant.
Yes, Mayor and Council, the first one that you mentioned, the Pet Finder grant for Kong brand pet toys, that's, basically they give us the toys. There's no money that exchanges hands, it's just a donation of their pet brand. And if you've ever had a Kong toy, you'll know that they last and last. They are almost nearly indestructible. So that'll give the dogs, and I believe they do have cats toys as well, gives them some enrichment while they're there, and so they're not just, in a cage while they're ready to be adopted. And then the Georgia Pacific Foundation Bucket Brigade grant, and I'm tongue-tied. That grant is for equipment, like their gear that they wear. So what we're looking at is to replace some of their worn out gear, as well as get maybe a couple of extra just in case, say they have a really bad fire and their gear is damaged, they'll have another set waiting. And also there's some equipment like the backpacks and other things that they can get with this grant. And that's, as far as I know, it's 100%, no match. And then the Bureau of Justice Bulletproof Vest grant, that's something we participate in pretty much every year. That helps purchase the bulletproof vests that the officers wear. Currently, I am still trying to get all the reimbursements for the 2016 grant completed, so that way I'll know how many we need to ask for in this upcoming grant cycle. And then the other one, the COPS grant, technically, if you look at your memo that was in your packet this evening, there's four different versions. And so what we're doing right now is kind of assessing to see which one would be, or all of them, if the case may be, would be the best fit for our department. Of course, there's the hiring grant, which you can hire police officers. It's a 3-year program where you start paying 25% of the salary, and then each year you increase until after the 3rd year you're paying for the officer. The other one is another kind of training grant for officers for neighborhood programs, and salaries and other things can be incorporated with that, especially with some equipment. And the other two are specific to drug enforcement. One is anti-meth, and the other one is anti-heroin. So that helps you with creating a drug task force if you're wanting to, crack down, because unfortunately, those kind of things are on the rise, and it's just a matter of time before they start being more prevalent. So right now, the police chief, myself, and Mr. Miller are looking at those, and we'll have a recommendation at the next meeting to see if we do 1, 2, 3, or 4 grants.
Okay, fantastic. Are there any questions? Thank you. Item J would be discussion of advertising for sports photography bids.
Yeah, our present photography company has paid the city of East Ridge this fiscal year $5,882, and we're going out with a request to bid this for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Okay. Are there any questions? We'll move on to the final item, item K, discussion of advertising for concessions bids for Parks and Recreation.
Yes, we'll be going out for bids for our food and refreshment concessions at Camp Jordan Arena, which is 1 concession, East Ridge Community Center 1 concession, Camp Jordan Park 3 concessions, East Ridge High School 3 concessions. The term of this contract will be for a period of 2 years, starting July 1st, 2017, and runs June 30th, 2019. The present concessionaire, just for your information, has paid the city this past fiscal year about a little over $20,000. So this will be going out to bid.
Very good. That's the last official item on the work session agenda. Mr. Cable, do you have anything for us?
Yes, sir. Since the fishing rodeo is going on June the 3rd, they got the grass problem, milfoil problem in the pond,
Yes.
and it has been sprayed. So what's the cost of spraying
I don't know. Kim, do you know? The cost of spraying,
We got 2 sprayings for $365.
that? When we do that just one time a year?
Well, it's the first time we've had it sprayed, and he's been back twice.
Okay. The reason why I brought it up is I just happened to see an aeration thing to eliminate that.
that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to our Park and Recreation Director about. Spraying is one thing, however, that lake is going to have to be aeration. The aeration system is going to have to be developed for that. I've done that. Numerous cities down in Florida, we have standing water to designate utilized.
Here's one here that's got 3 sprayers in it for $1,700. That's guaranteed for 2 years if you want.
Yes, yes, I do.
I just printed the price and everything, I didn't get all the information.
That's fine.
I can get it.
Okay.
Speaking of the pond, I don't know if this is something that we want to do again. I know when it was first done, it looked great. The placement of the rock around the bank, but I know people get a little destructive and take the rocks and chuck them out in the pond. I've unfortunately witnessed that. But a lot of that rock is not there anymore because it's either in the pond or elsewhere. Would it be a good idea to have that done again? Again, from an aesthetic viewpoint, it looked great, but again, that rock was loose.
Right now, Amanda Village is working with Stump on a grant program to do some boardwalk about a third around the lake, some trailways and so forth, so we can probably integrate
Yes, ma'am.
And two, I did, when you were mentioning the aeration, I'm gonna try to see if we can incorporate that into the grant as well, because that does have to do with watershed and, eco protection. So I will try to do that as well. And if council wants to see a rendering, we do have a rendering that we could show you. It's very preliminary before we turn in our application next week.
Very cool. Thank you.
Could we consider putting concrete pads, maybe a wheelchair fisherman to roll up there?
We have to do ADA, so when we do the boardwalk along the shores, we have to do either asphalt or concrete. That's required by law, so that we can have ADA accessibility is very important.
I know we have one kid who comes down in a wheelchair fishing.
We need,
Well, he's
yeah,
not a kid, but he's
right.
down there, so.
Mhm. Yes, we'll have some pathways. We talked about that in the plans.
Very good. Mr. Williams, have anything for us? Ms. Helen? I think, if I remember correctly, today was the last day of school. Correct. Hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Lots of different things to do out there. There's plenty to choose from. Had a chance to attend the graduation ceremony Saturday, this past Saturday, for East Ridge High School. It was a very good event, as it always is. Wonderful to see so many young people with their futures out in front of them. It never ceases to amaze me, the valedictorian, salutatorian, a couple of others get up there and speak in front of that big crowd, and they do a great job, far better than I ever would have done when I was their age. They're just fantastic. So congratulations to all of them. Obviously, that's a family celebration. It's not just the student who achieves that. It's everyone who has supported that student. That is all that I have for this meeting. And we've got about 4 minutes before the regular council meeting will start. So we will end this agenda work session and pick up the regular meeting in just a few minutes.